Welcome to Versus Character Cards!
What's up and welcome to Versus Character Cards, the Versus show without the verses. In this series, instead of analyzing two combatants to figure out who would win in a fight, we are only covering one character at a time, researching who they are and what they can do, kinda like a respect thread in video form or a versus cheat sheet, as you could use the research in this video as a base for your own research in your own versus show. And like always, be sure to stick around to the very end of the video so you can see who we're covering next time. But today, we're talking about Rayman, Ubisoft's forgotten mascot. And by forgotten, I mean forgotten by Ubisoft. We've remembered, and we've done our best to remind them, but they just don't seem to want to remember themselves. I don't know why that is though. Rayman's a fantastically creative character. He's had a ton of games and spin-offs, and he's appeared in crossovers like Brawlhalla, and hopefully someday Super Smash Bros. But for now, I guess Rayman will just appear here on Versus Character Cards as we finally dive in. The Glade of Dreams, a beautiful world created by the bubble dreamer Pelocus to fit his wildest and most magical desires. For a time, this gorgeous land knew nothing but peace, until Pelocus eventually had his very first bad dream, plunging the Glade of Dreams into darkness. In order to save their world, the nymphs gathered and worked together to create a hero to fight back this darkness. This was Rayman. Kind of false advertising though, since he's not really much of a man, more of a thingamajig as they describe him. Unfortunately, the nymphs couldn't quite finish their hero. They were a few lums short, so Rayman is a few limbs short. In case you haven't noticed, all of Rayman's appendages from his torso to his head to his hands and feet just happened to be floating there without any rhyme or reason. However, what appeared to be a setback at first turned out to actually be a blessing in disguise when it came to fighting back the darkness. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, think about it. Without arms holding him back, Rayman can technically punch as far as he wants to. That's right, Rayman's hands and feet aren't tethered to his body. They're independent pieces and can move freely no matter how far away they are. This does come with the downside of his appendages potentially being stolen, but I think the upsides like being able to shoot projectiles and fireballs more than makes up for it. He can even use Golden Fists for twice the punching power. It's not all punching and kicking though. Literally every part of Rayman's body can be used for something. He can even throw his torso at enemies. As for his head, he can spin around his hair like a helicopter to either blow a mighty gust of wind or glide to wherever he needs to get to. We're just scratching the surface though. Rayman can also shrink and grow, and he even has a healing factor. If he takes too much damage in combat, he'll revert back to his dream bubble state for a while, and then come back in peak physical condition. Then we come to the laser washing powder, which grants Rayman a wide variety of abilities. I don't know why cleansing powder of all things makes him stronger, but whatever, let's go with it. The first powder is the heavy metal fist. Just like the golden gloves, it doubles his power and increases his strength even further. I'm sure combining the two would lead to some pretty crazy results. Then there's the Vortex Powder, allowing Rayman to shoot out tiny galaxy-like projectiles that can shrink his opponents and control the gravity of other objects. Next up is the Lockjaw Powder, which grants Rayman giant metal claws that allows him to latch down on his enemies and electrocute them, or he can just swing around the area like Spider-Man. Then there's the Shock Rocket Powder, allowing Rayman to create a homing rocket that he can actually control remotely to hit areas that he can't normally reach. And finally we have the Throttle Copter Power, which turns Rayman's simple glide into full-blown flight. Oh, also one more tiny thing. In one of the handheld games, Rayman actually has fire-resistant powder too, so that's just a neat little tidbit in case you have him fighting someone who actually uses fire. But overall, that's a lot of powers, isn't it? Let's see what he can do with them. Rayman has some pretty impressive feats of his own. There are several instances where he dodges gunfire, electricity, and even lasers. He's even survived the city of Moody Clouds exploding, a feat that requires at least 1.6 megatons of TNT. But most of his strength, keyword most, not all, comes from scaling to the Rabbids. These chaotic creatures are able to lift airplanes, pull all the continents of Earth together, and rocket around the solar system like nothing, even flying into the sun. Scaling to them should give Rayman all those feats, including the massively faster than light space travel feats. We could also scale Rayman to the Rabbids' appearance in Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Now keep in mind, even though Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is an actual crossover with a story and connections and everything, instead of just a silly little guest appearance or cameo, it still should be treated as a crossover. And crossover scaling is very complex, so the only things Rayman should really get from this is scaling to whatever the Rabbids and Mario characters can do in that game. None of the universal stuff in Mario Galaxy or multiversal stuff in the Mario and Luigi games. So the most Rayman should be able to get from this is solar system level, because Mario characters are star children and are able to equal the strength of power stars in their universe. Now if you think that's a bit too much of an upgrade for Rayman to get from a crossover, he actually does it himself canonically when he punches this teensy to another planet across another constellation, making it shake. Easy solar system level feat. And that's in his own game too, Rayman Legends, no crossover there. And since Rayman does it multiple times all throughout the game, you can't claim Outlier either. Able to destroy solar systems and massively faster than light, our limbless legend really is that strong. Everyone give it up for Rayman. Don't forget, using the information you see on screen, you can actually submit fan art to be displayed during this portion of the episode. It can either be the character we're talking about now, the character we're going to talk about next episode, or even my little mascot Star who you saw in the bottom left corner of the episode. But for now, it's time for the conclusion segment. In conclusion, Rayman is super powerful. Not only is he crazy strong, able to shake constellations at solar system levels of power, but he's also incredibly fast, dodging lasers and scaling to the Rabbids who can rocket around the solar system at light speeds. His range of attack is extremely far with his floating fists, and he has a lot to fight with. He has each of his appendages, the ability to change sizes, and don't forget all of his cleansing powders. Mario would actually be a really good matchup for Rayman if you were to nerf Mario and limit him to specific instances where he's only around Rayman's level of power. But it would be a good fight. Perfect Cell is also an interesting idea. They're both around the same level of power, they're both artificial beings. Okay, never mind, those are the only connections I could think of. But they're around the same levels of power. So anyways, let me know what you think. Do you have any interesting matchup ideas for Rayman? Tell me in the comment section below. Now let's see who's next.
Next time on Versus Character Cards, it's Chef Hatchet from Total Drama.